you. We're going to turn so that this is my pretend wall. Okay, bless you. So that you can have your feet touch the wall. And you guys at home, if you can do that, that would be great. You could also use a piece of furniture at home that comes to the ground. You're going to use the actual.
Okay,
This is my pretend wall,
okay.
not use the blocks. Right. Sorry, I know that's confusing. So this is my pretend wall, but like Sean's doing here. And then have you guys have your bolster within reach. Now I tell you after you're already lying down, huh, Diane? So have your bolster, your blanket, your block, just have stuff within your reach so that you can get it in a moment. And just lie down onto your backs. Okay. And then we're going to bend our knees and our feet are on the floor. We're going to use the wall in a moment. But for now, let's bend the knees, feet to floor. Good. And turn these off. Good. And notice, do you want something below your head and neck? Would you like your blanket below your head and neck? You can even take those blankets and make a little roll in one end of it so it fits beneath the curve of your neck. So play around with it. Good. Now just noticing all the places you're making contact with the floor and your blanket if you're using one. Maybe you want to arrange your shoulder blades differently. You can always scoot them down your back. Where do your arms want to be? So as we move through some postures and movements, let's notice how it affects our nervous system, how things might feel differently in different positions, and how it affects the different koshas, your physical body, your vitality layer, your breath, and your mental and emotional state. It's one of the things I love about somatics and yoga is that we can change how we feel just by inhabiting our bodies and even moving them in different ways. So from here, let's just start to do some pelvic rocks. So you don't have to do it with the breath. And what I mean by that is pressing your low back down to the floor and then rocking your pelvis forward so your low back comes away from the floor a little bit. And repeating. And you can go slowly or quickly, doesn't matter. Do it however you want to. Yeah, you got it. You're just rocking and pressing the low back down and then rocking forward and making a curve. It can be a big movement or it can be a small movement. You might notice that when you press your low back down to the floor, you might notice your abdominals kind of engage a little bit. And you don't have to do anything particular with your breath, but can you keep breathing so you're not holding your breath? And you might start to notice that as you rock your pelvis, your head might be moving. You're not making it move necessarily, but just because you're moving your pelvis forward and back, your head might be nodding. Like as you press your low back to the floor, your chin might come away from your chest. And as you rock your pelvis forward, the chin might come closer. Good. And then let's find a spot that feels good to you and pause, taking a breath in and out. Might take a sigh. Now let's extend the left leg. So the left leg is straight and the foot is against the wall. You might need to rearrange yourself so you can feel the wall with your foot. And let's bring the right knee in towards your belly. You can hold it with your hands above or below, however it feels good. And just feel that left foot pressing into the wall, any amount of feeling like there's another contact point there. Good. And you might want to move the knee around. Feel free to do that if you want to make circles or anything you want to do. You might want to keep it still. Let yourself explore, right? This is your time to be in your body. So do what you want to do. And then also noticing if you're breathing. Good. And now let's release the right leg down and we'll do the opposite side. So your right foot comes to the wall and your left leg comes in, same thing, just exploring or staying still. You might notice your breath coming in and out. And you can also try to notice how easy or difficult is it for you to stay present in your body tonight. Without any judgment, it's just a noticing, a curiosity. Good. And now let's release that leg down and we'll put both feet against the wall for a moment. That feels okay. You might even tighten your legs up, really pressing the feet in, feeling a little bit of strength, and then you might soften everything. All right, let's come back to bending the knees. And we'll use our bolster. And if you're at home, you could use a rolled up blanket or a pillow or even a yoga block. What we're going to do is we'll lift the hips off the floor and slide the bolster underneath your butt, your sacrum. Of course, you don't want this to hurt. So if you have any back issues and this doesn't feel good to you, then please use a smaller blanket on the floor. Okay. Or you could even use nothing if you don't like it. Okay. And then from here, let's bring that right knee in again and hold it with your hands. And you might like to straighten the left leg out, or you could float it in the air. Just notice how this changes the experience, just having that fulcrum of your hips up on the pillow. You might feel a bit of a stretch or a big stretch in front of the left hip. And you can always move the right knee around for the ankles. Again, noticing if you hold your breath at all, see if you can keep breathing. Good. Now let's bend the left knee too. So they're both bent. And if you can get your bolster just right, you might be able to let the knees fall towards your belly without any effort, just with gravity. You might need to move the bolster closer to your tail to do that. Imagine that your low back is relaxing toward the floor like a hammock. And you might feel your breath against your legs or just moving. And then let's hold the left knee and invite that right leg to straighten out. It can hover or it can come toward the floor. And move the left knee to any angle you want. And how does it feel to take a really wide inhale and then to exhale out the mouth? Good. And now you could come back to that knee, both knees bent, hammock, low back position if you want, or you could put your feet on the floor. Taking a couple of breaths there. And then as you're ready, you can put your feet down. You can always stay wherever you want to stay. I'm just going to lift my hips off that bolster and slide it out of the way, lowering down. And when you get your hips back on the floor, just noticing for a moment, and you might windshield wiper the knees side to side, just letting both knees go one way and then the other. And then coming back to center with the knees, you can leave the feet and knees parallel, or you could take the feet a little wide, letting the knees lean against one another. And we're going to take the arms almost like you were going to take off a sweater or something. They cross a little bit around the waist, and then let them come up and around. And I'll walk around in a second to show you what I mean. But come up and overhead so that your arms touch your head as this happens, and then reach up overhead toward the floor. And like you're making a snow angel, they move out to the sides. You might have to move stuff out of your way and come down. Yeah. And then we're just going to repeat that a few times. So just allow yourself to feel the contact of your arms and hands. They might move across your face or your head, your body, and around a few times. If your shoulders are more open, you might even reach the floor at some point when they come around overhead and down and out to the sides. Noticing what it feels like to have this touch of your forearms on your forehead. When I was doing it earlier, I even kind of gave myself a little head massage with my fingers as I went by. And then whenever you're ready to, you can just rest your arms at your sides. And we'll inhale to open the arms wide and exhale to give yourself a hug, wrapping one arm on top of the other. And now you can use your feet. It's called a hug roll. You're just gonna roll to one side a little bit or a lot onto the side of your head and shoulder, and then come back. And you don't have to go all the way over if you don't want to. And then to the other side. So all of these movements that we're doing in this supine position are all just to increase a feeling of groundedness and support. You can do them in bed. You can get on your floor and do them. Anytime where you're feeling really ungrounded or overwhelmed. Good. And you can keep going with that, or you can be done coming back to center. Let's straighten out the legs and widen them a bit. And if it feels okay, you can take your arms overhead, wide a little bit, like they're in a V toward the floor above you. So they're resting on the floor. I'm going to reach the left arm across toward the right hand and look at it with your eyes. You can kick into the left heel a little bit so that you almost roll over onto your belly. And then allow yourself, you could roll the left ankle open to allow yourself to come back onto your back. Just kind of flop back onto the back. Yeah, and I'll come around you guys. Now take your right arm across towards your left hand. It's almost like I'm pulling you by that hand and I was trying to flip you over onto your belly. Yeah. And then you can lead with that right ankle to bring yourself back. I'm going to do it next to you, Janine. Yes. And reach. And just get that long stretch that goes all the way from your ankle up to your shoulder. Yeah, so you can start to reach this over here. Jump forward by that hand. Yeah, and you can kick with your heels so that you almost roll over. Yeah, exactly. That's it. Good. And then if it feels okay to you, you can actually roll all the way over on one of the sides, and then you'll probably be off your mat. So feel free to scoot yourself back onto your mat. And we'll be on our bellies now. And let's come down. So I'm going to give you guys an option. You don't have to do this, but you could put a low folded blanket, meaning it's not very thick. That might even be too thick for me right now. But underneath your belly button, like on your soft belly. But for some people, you'll do it and you'll be like, "How? No." And you can take it away if that's how you feel. Okay. This is just an experiment. And rest your forehead down. If your feet tend to cramp up, you can take one of your other blankets and put it below your ankles. Okay, that can feel good, just a little supportive. Okay. And the blanket is just there to help feel your breath. So it's it's like touching your belly button. And as you inhale, can you feel anything expand toward the floor or the blanket? And as you exhale, let something soften. If you have to adjust your neck or your shoulders, feel free. If you're too close to the wall, you can scoot away. How does this position feel in your body compared to being on your back today? How is it affecting your nervous system, your physical body, your mental body? And then as you're ready, no rush, but you could come up to Sphinx. You might move the blanket out of the way. So Sphinx is up on the forearms. You can also be wide if your back bothers you. You could be wide like this. Pressing your pubic bone down, just engaging your glutes, your butt muscles. Shoulder blades moving away from your ears if you can. You could inhale here. And as you exhale, you might reach your left arm forward, going for our Sphinx twist, letting the hips and knees move. Looking around. And then you could inhale back to the center. And same thing, other side. And inhaling back to center. And exhale, you can rest for a moment. We're going to do, and you can keep doing Sphinx twist if you want to. You can do whatever you want. But there's a developmental movement. You know, when babies, you give them tummy time and they've got to develop all their back strength and their curves, right? Well, going back and doing some of these developmental movements as an adult can actually be extremely therapeutic for your nervous system. So you can have a little tummy time now if you'd like. And so what that means is like exploring moving your back body, right? Any way you want to. I'm just showing what I'm doing, but your knees could be bent or straight. You can look around. You know, babies are always trying to move. That's what they're trying to do, right? They're trying to roll over. You could even roll over, see how that works. And I just play around, okay? If you want it to be more structured, you can stick with your Sphinx or Cobras. You don't have to explore if you don't want to, but I'd invite you to give it a shot. Use your hands and feet, your legs, however you want to. Good. And then we'll come over onto our backs again whenever you're ready. You can roll over, or you can just get yourself there however you want. And let's take one of our blankets, fold it up. And I'll invite you to put it on the bottom of your right foot. Okay, we're going to try to balance it there if we can, but if it falls off, it's okay. Okay. The foot's going up in the air. Yeah, you got it. And you can bend and straighten the leg a few times, kind of warming up the hamstring a little bit. So yeah, on the sole of the foot, on the sole of the foot. Yeah. And you guys, with all the variety of blankets in the room, you might choose one of the heavier ones, kind of nice to get the feedback. So just bending and straightening it. Your left leg can be bent or straight on the floor, whatever feels better to you. And then you can also, once you can leave it straight or straight-ish, you could make circles as though the blanket, you were mopping the floor with your blanket here. Let me help you out here. Here we go. And if you open it up, if you're tight in the hamstrings, you might need to open up the blanket like that. So it balances. Yeah, it might fall off. So if you're doing the circles, can you notice how your core is engaging? Your abdominal muscles are stabilizing as you move that leg around. They can be small or big circles, doesn't matter. Good. Okay. Now let's bring the other foot up and see if you could switch. You can use your hands, of course. Switch to the other foot. And place that right foot on the floor, bent or straight leg. And then with the left leg, bending and straightening a few times. Noticing how the backs of your legs feel. How tight do they feel tonight? Or how open do they feel? And then if you're ready to leave it up there, you could make circles again with this side. And not only might you notice your abdominals engaging, but you might just notice how the stretch changes when you circle to different areas. And then you can take both feet up and try to get both feet on the blanket or the blanket on both feet. How does it feel to have both legs up there? Again, you can bend and straighten, or you can leave them straight. You can circle. Reverse directions. And then whenever you're ready to, you can just bend those knees to get the blanket off, and let's let the blanket rest on your belly for a moment. Feel the weight of it there. Might take a sigh. And notice whatever is present for you, whatever is present in your physical body, your breath, your mental body. And then as you're ready, you can set your blanket to the side and you can roll to your side to press up. Or if you want to draw your knees into your belly and rock up, you could do it that way. And we'll come onto hands and knees. Could always be on forearms instead, if that feels better. And we'll move through some cats and cows. And I'll invite you to do these a little bit differently tonight, where you move beginning with your tail first. And imagine your spine could articulate like a wave, and you could move up it one vertebra at a time. And same thing when you go into the rounding, the tail could tuck under first, and could you come up into the cat pose? And this could be done quickly or slowly, it doesn't matter. Just keep breathing. Can you allow yourself to maybe even enjoy how your body is moving? Now, you could stick with that, or you could also go back towards child's pose, which is sitting toward the heels. So you might sit back, either rounded or arched, and then come back up. Allowing your spine, there's no right way to do this, okay? You're just going to come up and down, allowing your spine to go through both rounded and extended. You can pause in one position, or you can keep coming up and down. Another option is to do this with down dog. If you're looking for a little more effort, you could do that. You could come back to down dog and then round and come down to your knees. These are just options, right? You can explore how you'd like to. And then we'll slowly start to come to standing. So you can push yourself up onto your feet and roll up or stand up, however feels best. When you get there, it might feel good to do a few shoulder rolls. Good. And then you can do our cat-like toe movement, the kneading of the toes on the floor. And then also there's that gecko-like movement where you can imagine your toes could lift and spread like suction cups and come down. How you can rock or bounce or heel drop. And then just stand whenever you're ready. And notice how you feel in standing, all right? So now what's your whole body feel like? About your breath? Good. And now let's roll one of our ankles. So I'm just going to let my knee and hip move. You could always do this seated too. and I'm tracing the perimeter of one of my feet on the floor. And you could actually look at it too if you want to. That just gives your brain some feedback on what the mobility is like down there. And then you could go in the opposite direction. And then before switching sides, just stand on your 2 feet. You could have eyes open or closed and noticing the difference in how the 2 sides feel. Breathing in and out. And then going for the second side. You're just tuning in. You may have, most people have had at least some ankle strains in their life. Right? So you might feel differently on one side from the other. And then go the opposite way. Good. And then standing again, noticing. And then how tall can you stand without getting tense, right? So that true power, posturetude with the soft eyes, clear heart, soft jaw, soft butt and pelvic floor. And then you can also move the knees. So we're just kind of going through the joints of the body a little bit. We can bring the feet close or touching, whatever feels best. And all I'm doing is like a little groovy dance here. I'm going to move my knees around, see how they feel. Notice how the weight changes on your feet as you do it. And you can reverse it. Good. And then coming up to standing again. You could take the feet a little wider and let's take the hips forward, side, back, side. Yeah, your hands can be wherever you want them. They could support at the hips, or you could do like the zombie hula hoops where your upper body just falls around. And go the opposite way. Good. And then coming back to center whenever you want here. And now we're going to do a little spinal rolling. And for your own back, you might decide you don't want to go down very far, and that's fine. Okay. So we're going to start really small. Keep breathing as you do it. And I'm just going to start with just my head and shoulders and upper back. I'm going to soften my knees a lot. And then I'm going to come back up. And as I come back up, I'm going to take the chest up. I might even take my hands to my hips. And then you can go a little further if you want, or you can keep it small. Okay, so it's totally up to you. Taking more than one breath. And if you're rolling up from down low, be sure to have those knees bent, just letting the tail move toward the heels, rolling up, almost like a flower opening up toward the sunshine. You can lift with your chest, maybe even your head. Let's do a couple more. And feeling into your own body and what you want to do. And then next time you come up, if it feels okay, you could stay there. Could also add in some side bending. And so I'm going to work just with this when you guys are ready with this idea of creating boundaries. Okay. So I think if you have a yoga mat, great, but you don't have to have one if you're at home, of course. And just imagine you're trying to create how much space you want around you. Okay. So it's like all I'm doing is pushing with my arms, right? And this can be, I know it might seem small, maybe even silly, but it's like when we've had trauma and a lot of stress, it's usually a boundary breach, whether it's emotional or something physical that's happened to us. And creating and setting your boundaries can be very healing, right? Just imagine you're like, okay, get out of my space right now. Okay. Whether it's emotionally, people that are bugging you, getting up in your business, or it's physical, right? Like you've got a protective shield or egg even shaped around you. And noticing how that feels. You can also do it with your legs. It's kind of a fun one. Just kind of kicking, out of my space. Right? And whenever you're done with that, you can keep going if you want. Just notice how that feels, creating that little bit of strength, a little bit of empowerment in your own space. And we'll add in some arm movements now. So just inhale. Let's try to link our breath with our movement. So we'll inhale, bring the arms up. And exhale, take them down. And we'll practice a breath, the Ujjayi breath. And you can join me if you want. What we're going to do, that means victory, Ujjayi in Sanskrit. So what we'll do to start with it is we'll inhale, breathe in through your nose. And as you exhale, like you're blowing out through a straw slowly. And then if you want to, you could inhale, you can stick with the out through the straw, or you could do like you're fogging up a mirror like this. So when you're fogging up the mirror, you know how you have to make a little constriction in the back of your throat? Like it's like, right? You could try to do that with your mouth closed. Sometimes it's challenging or it creates tension, so you can test it. And what that helps you do is it just lengthens the breath. You can leave your arms down and do the same thing. It's just, and by lengthening the breath, the exhale, by lengthening the exhale, that calms your blood pressure, slows the heart rate. So it's a settling type of breath. Just like we did with the humming, we hummed and did that. This is another way to do that. We're going to try another strength thing. Okay. So what I'll invite you to do, and I think everybody's got a wall they could use, except Tammy, maybe you go back to the sage wall back there, like in the corner. Okay. We're going to just I'm going to pretend I have a wall. Again, I don't have a wall, but I'm going to go against it and I'm going to wall sit. I'm not going to make you do it like 3 minutes or anything. Okay. So don't worry. You're just going to put your back against it strongly. And then I'll come away from this in a second. And then slide down. You guys know wall sits, right? Wall sits. Come on, PE style. Okay, your back and head against the wall. You don't have to bend far. Let's bring your feet forward so that your ankles are below your knees. Your butt's against the wall, your head's against the wall. That's it. So to make it easier, go higher, right? Go higher up. To make it harder, go lower. Okay. And all we're feeling here is you're feeling, and all I'm doing is this, you guys at home, but my back's against the wall. Okay, boom. You're feeling that space. You're feeling the strength of your legs, feeling grounded with the floor and the wall, right? And before you're going to fall or lose it, come up. Okay. You don't have to stay there forever. And then just shake it out a little bit. So doing planks is another way to do this, right? Where you're just on the ground, pushing the floor away, just strength. You can be on knees too. But against the wall, you can do it too. It's just feeling your strength, right? Feeling the large muscles of your body engaging. Okay. Good. So when you're ready to be done with that, you can swing and twist. You can try plank if you want to. Just reminding yourself that your body has strength, right? So even as you're healing stuff, healing trauma, and no matter what your emotional capacity is to do that right now, it's important to move your body, right? Even to titrate it, doesn't have to be huge movements, but to do things to help you move stuff. Right. Let's come toward the front of our space. And we're just going to step the left leg back into warrior one. So in warrior pose, your back heels down. So you can turn the foot however much you need to get the heel down. But this is a forward warrior. So our hips are trying to face front. So we might need to widen the feet apart. There we go. And then you can keep it bent, but you could straighten it at any time if you get tired. Okay. We're going to inhale, bring the arms up. Just to shoulder height. And then exhale. Let's look at your right hand and like you're drawing a bow and arrow back. Draw it back. And then inhale to the front. And exhale, look at your left hand. Good. And to the front. And exhale. You can turn the chest any amount. Good. And then come to the front and let's take the arms down and let's take your gaze down. So where you're looking with your eyes. I'm going to compare how looking in different places feels differently in your nervous system and having your arms in different places. And just breathe. Feel your feet holding you up here, your legs. And then let's try it out to the sides. The arms can be soft, shoulders relax, and maybe bringing your where you're looking just out like to the horizon space. And breathe. How does that one feel? And then up. And you might look up if it feels okay. Noticing how that feels. Keep breathing. Good. And then arms down. Can lean a little forward and step forward. And just notice. Good. Notice how you feel through your feet and your arms. And then let's do the other side. Oh, left leg forward, right leg back. And just to give yourself, you don't have to have the exact alignment or anything like that. I just want you to feel okay in your bodies. Okay. So if you separate your feet, if it hurts your back, lean forward. Okay. Feel the solidness of the connection with the floor. And then we'll inhale, bring arms up. Just to shoulder height, and exhale, bow and arrow. But this time, maybe you want to look forward, like where you're aiming with your bow and arrow. And then inhale forward. And even though you're looking forward, could you also soften your eyes? Or I should say, even though you're focusing on your hand, can you soften your eyes? So we have the ability to choose where to focus our minds. It's hard sometimes though, right? The more we practice, the better we get at it. Good. And then just bringing the arms down. Let's start arms down, right? Looking down. What kind of feeling does this generate in your body, in your mind? And then out Maybe eyes to the horizon. Breathing. And then up if you want to. Eyes could go up. Again, what kind of feeling does each position conjure up in your body or invoke? And then slowly bringing the arms down, stepping forward, pausing. All right. Okay, we're just going to do one more big movement, okay? And then we're coming down. So for this one, we're going to move toward the back of our space. And this one, the feeling that we're going for is just feeling free, feeling, you don't have to be happy by any means, but just free, having fun with it. Okay, there's no goal. So all I'm going to do, and I don't think we've done this before. I know we stepped into warrior one, but we're stepping into bird. So we're going to inhale up and exhale, step right leg forward and fly. And then inhale, step back. And it doesn't matter if you can balance. So you could be like this, okay? You don't have to fly. You can take baby bird steps toward flying, right? Just have fun, okay? So don't think about it. Here we go. Same leg over and over. Inhale, and then exhale, right leg, fly, and come back. You don't have to be in time with anybody else, okay? Just do it on your own time. Remember, all you're trying to do is feel a little freedom, maybe have a little fun. Okay, and then let's do the other leg. All right, left leg. It might feel really wacky. Yeah, especially if you're not left-legged. Good, you guys. And whenever you're done, you're done. You can just stand for a moment and you might feel your heart rate up, right? Your breath rate up. See if you can start noticing as it transitions downward. And breathe more slowly to get it to transition. You can blow out through the mouth slowly. You could put your hands somewhere for support to help it transition. And then we'll come down onto the floor, no rush. You could also sit in the chair, okay? We're gonna do a forward fold restorative. So you can come down however you wanna come down and grab one of your bolsters. You might wanna sit up on a blanket too. I like to do that. Okay, now your legs, you can choose, okay, I'm gonna give you some ideas. Your legs could be crossed. They could be butterfly. They could be straight, however you want to do it. And we're just relaxing our forehead onto these bolsters. Now, if you're at home and you're on the floor, what you can do is put your head on a chair. So you just open up a chair, put a blanket on it, and rest your forehead on it. If you guys want more of a forward fold, you could do this, right? I'm just stacking up my blocks. And I'm patting my forehead. I might like a second blanket. That's why I give you all this stuff, okay? Remember, any leg position, and you can choose to change your leg position too. And breathe. And you've got two bolsters, so you can even do this. Let's try this. How's that? You could take something off of there too. You don't need that many. Yeah, just decide. Yeah. Good. So as you inhale, just notice if you can feel your inhale, maybe in your back body. And then as you exhale, can you soften somewhere? Maybe your jaw or your forehead. And again, as you inhale, expanding your back body. And as you exhale, maybe softening in your shoulders. Is noticing what's going on for you physically and also mentally. Now, you can always choose to stay there longer, or you can start to come up to a seat whenever you're ready.